This is LocReady Here Peer. Today we're going to hear from Juan Ortiz. And welcome, Juan. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So first of all, of course, we would like to know a little bit of you. Would you like to introduce yourself briefly and then tell us what you're doing currently at your job and then what would be a typical day like for you?
Okay, cool. Hi, everyone. My name is Juan Ortiz, as Iran has said. I am a current project manager with Translation by Design Incorporated. They're headquartered in Pacific Grove, so really near to all of you. That was that it. I think that was it. A little bit about myself besides being a project manager is I'm currently working remotely from North Carolina. So if there's anyone in the East Coast, I am from the East Coast as well. I know there's a few of us there, so nice to see you. Well, I guess I'm not seeing them. Yes, I'm from the East Coast. I'm working remotely here in North Carolina. That's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you for sharing. So a lot of people are actually very curious about the interviews in job seeking because many of them are still trying to enter the industry. So if you don't mind sharing, like what do you still remember some of the questions that you were asked while you were interviewing for the current job?
See, so from this job specifically, because they wanted a specific type of person they wanted to hire, one of the questions I remember them asking is, what can you bring to our company? Now, they worded it differently than that, but that was the essential gist of what they asked me because they were in a good spot where they had, translations and interpretation requests coming in and they were delivering on time. But since they wanted their company to grow a little bit, they wanted someone who can assist with that, who can improve their workflows, develop new methods to sort of handle the translation and interpretation a little bit better. That's what they wanted. They also wanted, so they're familiar with MIST, so they wanted someone who can apply the skills they learned at MIST to whatever they need. So they asked about CAD tools, they asked about time management, they asked about organization and things like that. But yeah, that's what I remember mostly from my interview.
I see. So basically, they're trying to find out what you can contribute to the company, your value that you can add.
Exactly. Especially specifically given the training and the teachings we receive at MIST.
Yeah, I see. So like just as you mentioned before, you are now a project manager, and then we would also like to know, like as a project manager, who do you usually interact with on a daily basis? Do you need to manage some of the translation projects for the language that you don't even speak?
Okay, so I usually talk with our internal team of project managers and a lot with our linguists. Mainly it's been translators, but I've been talking a lot more with interpreters. We usually communicate in English, so there's no, trouble talking, emailing and communicating with the linguists. There was one opportunity I had to communicate in Spanish just because it was easier for the linguists and we understood each other a lot better. So I don't think there should be a problem. There is no problem in communicating with people who don't speak the same language I do because we tend to understand each other. I work with a DTP specialist. The main thing with communicating with these different people with different tasks that help us in our company is just understanding what we want from them and what they need from us. So if it's a linguist who's translating, we want to make sure they have the necessary tools. If they need any help with formatting, we can just talk with them about that because their main job is the language aspect. And if they're intimidated by formatting or they just need clarification on things, that's what we talk about with like the BTP specialist. I've talked with timing, like how long something will take, formatting files and things like that. So yeah, it's mainly about knowing who you're talking to and what they do so that you can communicate clearly what you need from each other.
I see. It's very interesting that you need to like what you need to do with DTP specialists. So to talk with them and then to convey what you need from them, what level of the specialized knowledge do you need to communicate with them? Like what we have learned from the courses, would that be enough?
I think it would be a good starting point. I think most people should be lifelong learners. So if you can learn more, that's great. It's a good starting point. What they share with us at Miss, it's great. Personally, I haven't had to get too technical. Besides like just specific like this is an IDML file, please format it for translation to import into MemoQ. That's kind of really technical, but for me personally, that's as technical as I can get. Our senior project manager does get a little more technical than that because she has more experience and she knows like essentially what she's talking about. But yes, I can imagine that in the future I'll have to get a little more technical should they have different questions for us.
I see. So actually, you're also suggesting that if we want to be more involved with a certain type of role, maybe we need to know more about the jargons and technicality of that.
Yes, especially for example with MemoQ, I'm working with translators to use that, and if they need something, whether it's a simple thing such as unlocking a segment or something new that I wasn't aware of, which maybe I should have been, you can split files in MemoQ, so dividing up the work so that we can deliver on time with different translators. Sort of that little random pieces of, well, I say they're random, but they're actually related. But those little tidbits of information will be really useful to have. Yeah.
I see. Now that you mentioned MemoQ, do you use like MemoQ and other CAT tools a lot in your work, or is there any other tools that are project management related or localization related that you use a lot?
So here we use MemoQ a lot. Excuse me. Yeah, we use MemoQ a lot, and we started implementing what TMS called PlueNet. I think a lot of people will be familiar with that just by the name, but we're trying to use it so that we can just solely use PlueNet for all of our linguistic related requests from our clients. It's a learning process by a lot. So thankfully, we're all learning together, if that makes sense. So the internal team knows how to work well with each other, and we're learning as we go how to best use this TMS to help us in our line of work that we're doing.
I see. That sounds very amazing to work as a team.
Yeah, it is. It's really great.
Yeah. So another job seeking related question would be because we're always encouraged to attend these networking events inside and outside the school, and I'm sure you already also attended a lot of them. So do you think they helped you in any ways along the job seeking experience? And then if so, like, would you like to offer us some networking tips?
Yeah. So let's see. They did help in job seeking in that it's sort of like an interview almost when you talk to people at these networking events. You introduce yourself, you talk a little about yourself, and you get to know them. Something that we heard, and I think you all heard as well, is to talk more about someone else at your networking event. And so when you meet someone, just get to know them. What are their ideas? If they work somewhere specifically that you're interested in, ask about that. Ask about their daily routine. Ask them basically what you can without being a little too invasive. Like you don't want to know their personal stuff. You just want to know what are your ideas about this CAT tool, or what, since I know you use this CAT tool, what do you think about it? What are some features that we can look forward to? So yeah, having that sort of conversation feels like an interview, and I think that's really helpful. And if anything, I think you get a lot of knowledge with what's going on in the industry at these types of events, with like different companies, different organizations that are there. And also just you get to see, it's also nice just to be around people who have similar interests to you, at least professionally.
Yeah, totally. And then we can all be language nerds without being afraid of being judged.
Exactly. Oh, that's the best feeling in the world.
Yeah, I know. All right. We're almost at the end of the interview. And then another question that we ask for in all the interviewees would be looking back on your career experience, what are some of the things that you wish you knew at the time before you started all of this? Or is there anything that you would have done differently knowing what you know now?
So I would have taken more advantage of our resources, the resources you guys have as the Miss student. So you guys have LinkedIn Learning because of the world right now. I think you guys also have access to Adobe and their suite of different applications. I would have definitely taken more advantage of using that more hands-on. If you're, for example, if you're in TLM, but you're T-Track, and I'm sure you're doing some translation work, find some time to play with MemoQ as a translator, get to know the different buttons, click things randomly. Hopefully nothing will crash. Ask Max if you're very curious about one random thing that, hey, can you do this in MemoQ? It'll help translators a lot. And if he doesn't know the answer, which he probably does, but if he doesn't, you can always ask any of the other professors, and then they'll definitely get you answers. With like Adobe Illustrator, InDesign, if you can play with that just to get to know the different buttons. You don't have to be an expert, but it's great if you can learn how to do specific things that are related to translation with like Adobe InDesign. If you learn about kerning and getting the font to fit in a page really well, that's something that I believe Max has like, that's part of his lesson plan, but if you can maybe dig a little more deep into fonts and things like that, that'd be really useful. I wish I took more advantage of that. Let's see what else. And just, yeah, I think that's it. I was trying to get something out, but it just flew out of my brain.
I think that's already very helpful, actually, because I also feel it that, for example, Adobe InDesign is so helpful for me to even just to edit my resume. I think it's the best tool I can use.
That's something great. I think that's really fun because when you, I think Max advises people to create their resume in InDesign.
Yeah.
I did that as you are doing now, and it was really helpful just to play around with different things and seeing how bullets work and seeing that they're very, what's the English word? I think it's finicky. So they're very specific to what they do. So if you mess up one thing, it could mess up the whole document.
Yeah,
so
I know.
getting to know those things hands-on is really helpful, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for sharing these. Our last question would be more related to your personal development. So like what would be your next steps for your career, if you don't mind talking about it?
My next steps in my career. So if I'm honest, I'm really happy where I am. It is different from what I envisioned, though, given our current world situation.
Yeah, I know.
But next steps would be for now, in the near future, in the next 5-ish years, is to keep learning. Again, I'm really happy with where I am. I love working here because I get to learn something new every day. And it's really exciting to see how, like, personally, I feel like I'm growing with regards to like getting to know more about this industry. But next steps would be, well, I just started learning, but also maybe in a few years start, reaching out to those dream jobs, if you will, that we all go to miss thinking, oh, this is the one dream job I wanted. And getting ready for that. So not just focusing on work, but also taking some time to, maybe learn some new things that maybe aren't directly related to work, but are also really something that I'm interested in.
Yeah, always learn something new.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wish you best of luck in your career development.
Thank you so much, Iren.
Sure, of course. Thank you for sharing all of these great ideas with us.
No problem.
So that would be the end of our interview. Thank you.
Thank you.